Welcome to the Mobile Armored Podcast Show, the podcast that transforms into a motorboat with lasers. I am Adam Moore, alongside my co-host and best friend, PJ McNerney. What's going on, PJ?
Doing well, man. I'm excited for this episode in somewhat perverse ways. I think I want to put a little preamble for folks. If you get triggered by racism, you might not want to listen to this episode, or you might not want to listen to any of these episodes, or watch Mask ever, because this is going to be really 80s-tastic in terms of diversity.
Boy, is it. And you can only guess by the logline for the episode, which is Venom steals a mystical arrowhead, rumored to point the way to an alien spacecraft buried in the desert. So we're going to get all Native American up in here. And so the episode starts, pickup truck driving through the desert. We get to meet John Snow Eagle. He's got a dog in the car, and his first line is, "The desert is tired today, dog. Like you, he is hot, and his breath moves slow." I don't know if that's beautiful writing or some old saying that we've never heard of before. Nonetheless, Sly Rax and Vanessa Warfield makes her first appearance in the series. The one and only female Venom member uses her whip power to whip the doors off. Awesome car chase through the desert, and then Cliff Dagger shows up, shoots out a tire, which seems to be Venom's main way of stopping vehicles, which they have lasers. Instead of just blowing vehicles up, they just tend to shoot out the tires.
They do want to capture this guy this time. It's not like Professor Stevens where they're trying to murder her, although in this case, they get pretty rough.
It does get pretty rough. Miles tells him, if you ever want to see another sunset, you'll hand over your half of the emerald arrowhead. So there's the MacGuffin of the episode. And Sly Rax has a great Sly Rax line. "Start talking, old man. Dagger's temper is explosive and his fuse is real short." Solid writing. And Miles uses some kind of X-ray vision on his helmet, which is a brand new power we didn't know that his helmet had, to look around and see where the arrowhead is. Not present.
It's pretty curious that the leaders have more powerful helmets than the rest of the crew. And we're going to see this later on. Matt gets to invent a new power whenever he wants. Mm-hmm. And I guess so does Miles.
Maybe he did steal a high-quality helmet after all. We learned that the arrowhead used to be handed down from chief to chief, but John Snow Eagle tells us that the tribe disappeared a long time ago, to which Vanessa threatens him. "You'll find there's a snake deadlier than a rattler if you don't tell us what we want to know."
That seems like a euphemism, but it's not.
Yeah, is that also referring to Cliff Dagger?
I wonder if Cliff feels bad all the time. He's the strong guy, but he's also the whipping boy at the same time.
Yes, he sure is. Snow Eagle, right away, first of all, Vanessa uses whip power to knock the guy's hat off and then disintegrate it. Come on. You had to destroy his hat. That was probably also handed down from chief to chief. Anyways, Snow Eagle then claims that he passed the arrowhead on to his grandson.
This guy, as a grandfather, he really collapses on his grandkids so quickly. It's not like, "I'll never tell you. You'll never find out." It's just like his hat's gone. He's like, "F it. I'm done. My grandkid is the one who's got it, okay?"
So anyways, dissolve to the Tracker Mansion, where we find Matt standing up, reading a book. This is the second time in 2 episodes that we have introduced Matt Tracker standing up, reading a book. What's he reading? What's this book about that's got him so fascinated he can't even sit down?
I don't know. It looked like a technical manual to me. He's trying to figure out his stereo. I don't know. It was just like, I looked at the book cover and it was like, that doesn't look like a substantial. It's not like it's Dickens or something like that. This is like, how do I hook up my stereo system?
How do I make a Camaro fly? So anyways, ding dong, the door rings. John Snow Eagle shows up, passes out at the door. He wakes up in Matt's quote-unquote library, and he learns that Snow Eagle gave the emerald arrowhead to his grandson. And it turns out that Matt sent Scott off with the grandson and the grandson's mom to go fishing at Canyon Creek. So once again, we have an example of Matt pawning off his own fathering to someone else.
Let's give Matt some credit this time. As opposed to abandoning his child last episode and not even checking in on him. He actually was like, oh, I should put this child in the care of someone who's going to care.
I've got some questions for you.
Yeah.
Why does Snow Eagle go to Matt?
This is the question. You know, I'm going to tell you this much. I don't have any billionaire friends. And if I did, though, and some masked people came and threatened me, I'm not sure I would go to their doorstep. I might call 911 and the police first. So this is kind of reinforcing this notion that vigilante justice is the only way to get shit done in this universe.
As we know, Matt Tracker is known for helping people who need help.
In unusual situations. So maybe this is it. It's, oh, these guys showed up with masks on. That's an unusual situation. I'm not going to go to the police. I'm going to go to Matt.
Don't you think Matt probably has a gate? Like, how are all these people just showing up on his doorstep?
I guess he knows the family at the very least. Maybe he's got the gate code.
But, you know, secrecy is of the utmost importance. That's one of Matt's main tenets of Mask. So why do all these people know who he is?
I guess they don't know that he's the head of Mask, though.
He just knows.
Yeah, that's creepy unto itself. If there's anything unusual happening, check with Matt first, because you don't want to step on a billionaire's toes.
Especially if the person fell off a ravine. Then you know Matt was probably involved.
Like, hey, someone calls 911. I just saw a Camaro flying through the air. You know what? I'm going to refer you to Matt Tracker. Please do not call with that information ever
Didn't hear
again.
you. Heard nothing. Heard nothing. And we'll be back after these messages.
Mask will be right back, and so will Venom. Now back to Mask.
The team selection scene happens. We're going to have Bruce Sato in Rhino. When we meet him, he's showing off some sort of electric pogo stick. And his magic Apple Watch goes off, and he just bounces his way out on the pogo stick to the shock of the people around him. Alex Sector, the co-pilot of Rhino, is called in. He's washing a cute little dog in the tub. And then he gets the alarm bell, and he just leaves the dog there in the tub.
There's a tiny detail. That dog sneezes right after Alex leaves, which implies that he's left a wet, sick dog in water. This is gross negligence.
And the dog could just run away. I was wondering, like, isn't the owner going to be pissed off when they come back? Hey, where's my dog? One of two things. Either ran away, or two, close to death, freezing in the back because Alex Sector ran away.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Your dog, he went missing. It's a bad dog.
Once again, giving more credence to the belief that Matt is just pays for all these people's jobs. They're not real jobs. They're just a front. Speaking of, Dusty Hayes, our favorite pizza cook, is called into action. When we find him, he's cutting pepperoni onto a pizza. The alarm bell goes off, and he just puts the dough, the uncut pepperoni, and the knife onto the pizza tray and shoves it in the oven before he leaves. That's got to be a fire hazard at the very least, right?
I mean, like, there's a degree of laziness, incompetence here. Because, like, in all likelihood, that probably has, like, a wooden handle to it. So that knife is going to catch on fire, which means that it's going to be smoking in there. Someone's going to open it up, attempt to remove it, and cut their hand. So, like, there's all sorts of wrong in this thing. Best case scenario.
A flaming hot knife to the hand. Another lawsuit. Hey, and now we have the first appearance of Gloria Baker, the female mask agent. She's a champion race driver, a black belt in Kung Fu, vehicle codename Shark, team hottie. She's in her car and just jumps out of the car in the middle of traffic. Okay. What?
Yeah, and it's a weird detail because she gets out of the right-hand side of the door, which either implies that there is a driver or that it's a right-handed car, and she just abandoned it.
But if it's a right-handed car,
so
is she overseas and she's going to run her way to Colorado?
Or was there a driver in the car and she screamed at the top of her lungs, "Stop the fucking car right now"? It's the only explanation why she decided to run to Boulder Hill rather than drive there.
Why not kick the guy who's driving out of the car, or girl who's driving out of the car, and then she keep going? Yeah. That A, seems funnier. B, gets her faster to Boulder Hill. Gloria Baker. So the team is Matt, Bruce, Alex, Dusty, and Gloria. Meanwhile, Scott and T-Bob are off fishing at Canyon Creek alongside Daniel, the grandson of John Snow Eagle. T-Bob is catching a lot of cans and boots. Ha funny beat there. Scott catches a fish in his baseball mitt. Okay. And then we cut to Daniel Snow Eagle, I would assume. And he says, "Here I come from a great line of Indian chiefs, but I can't even catch a fish." And Scott, out of kindness, gives Daniel the fish that he caught. In exchange for the fish, Daniel gives Scott the emerald arrowhead, the priceless heirloom handed down from one chief to the next. So much like how the Dutch purchased Manhattan Island for some beads, Scott continues a tradition by trading a single fish, for a priceless heirloom.
If Scott really wasn't so ignorant due to Matt, I think, just being negligent, I would be putting Scott up for a Buddy Hawks Racism Award right here.
A nominee for the Buddy Hawks Racism Award. Mm-hmm. And he does dress up in authentic Indian brave
that
costume.
That is true. Authentic. Yes.
With air quotes.
Yes,
authentic.
It's authentic. You know, it's like, where did you get it from? We got it from Disney's Frontierland. It's as authentic as that is.
It's from the Pocahontas playset. Anyways, we cut to Mask HQ, and the team is gathered. According to old Indian legend, the other piece of the emerald arrowhead has been lost for thousands of years. I wonder where it could be. Dusty, his response is, maybe under an old Indian couch. And there is uproarious laughter by everyone around the table.
I need to make a correction to something I said offline, because in that shot, Matt, Alex, and Gloria laughing. Bruce is off to the side. And when they cut to Gloria, he's got a really nervous laugh or nervous face. He's like, I don't know if you should be laughing at that, guys.
Yeah, Bruce is just smiling along. Yes.
Yeah, this is what white people talk about in closed doors.
At least they're not joking about me yet. So we learn that the emerald arrowhead alone isn't worth much, only a few $1,000s. So why would Venom want it? To which Bruce says, it matters not what the key is made of, as long as it opens the lock. Matt gets him right away. It must unlock something bigger. Very wise, Matt. Dusty wonders if the bigger thing is a canoe, which right there, for me, earns a nomination for the Dusty Hayes Racism Award, until the next line from Matt Tracker, which is, Dusty, sometimes I think you've got an empty teepee. And there is even more laughter from the entire Mask crew.
They do another shot of Gloria at this point in time, and Bruce still has that uncomfortable look on his face. So I really think that for everyone else in the room, they get a nomination for a Buddy Hawks Racism
I will
Award.
go as far to say, and even though we're just really a third of the way through the episode, they all win this week's Buddy Hawks Racism Award.
I'll tend to agree, but we're not done with nominees yet, and that's the problem. That is fundamentally the problem. Adam.
All right, we'll see where we go. Just a side note. Why is Dusty on this team? He seems like a complete moron.
So I do think it's worthwhile to state that the bigotry on this team isn't merely about white and other races. Dusty clearly occupies the sort of Southern hick stereotype. We're seeing this repeated pattern where it's Dusty's folksy sayings really just get shit on all the time.
Yeah, so they're racist and bigoted across the board.
On multiple axes,
Well,
yes.
look, Matt is a tall, strapping, white, blonde man, so quite Aryan. So we can start to make some deductions from that point down.
He probably went Ivy League. That's my guess.
Oh, for sure. He went Ivy League.
Yeah.
So oddly, there's no mask ceremony. There's no sacred ceremony in this episode, probably because they have so much racism to pack in. They couldn't possibly wait for a 2-minute long mask ceremony.
Speaking of which,
We cut back to Scott and T-Bob dressed as Indians. Even T-Bob has some feathers on his head. And that's when Venom shows up to steal the arrowhead, which is the key to the Star Chariot.
one note, and this is Scott being cognizant and competent. He tells T-Bob to radio Dad to tell him we're in trouble.
And as you point out, it means that Matt actually installed a radio in T-Bob after the last episode.
Right. So it's like, oh, this might be a better idea than random radiation detector.
Unless it was always in T-Bob and Scott just didn't think to call his dad or didn't want to call his dad because he knows what happens when he calls dad and there's a problem.
Again, it just makes it so much worse that Matt didn't call him after the last episode then.
Well, guess who shows up to save the day? It's Mask. The whole team shows up. Matt even says he's going for Scott and Daniel to save them. And I wondered for a moment, is he actually a good father?
I mean, there's the and Daniel in there, so I think he's really trying to save the arrowhead.
I'm going to go save Daniel. What about Scott? Who? Your son. Oh, yes. And him.
And the other one.
And the other boy. So we have a pretty cool Mask battle here, right? Bruce uses Lifter to toss a tree at Cliff Dagger's Bronco there. Gloria uses Aura to make Vanessa's flying car spin around. Dusty fires Backlash at Sly Rax, sends him into a ditch. But Cliff Dagger captures Scott. And Thunderhawk takes off in pursuit. We got the first use of Spectrum's hang glider mode. So he actually jumps out of Thunderhawk, lands on top of Switchblade. Switchblade transforms to helicopter mode to throw Matt off, which is actually one of the coolest moments we've seen. That's a very cool Mask moment.
It is. It's a really cool moment. I would have probably rolled the jet, but I do think it's a cool thing. It's like, oh, I'll chop him up. It's
as
fun.
a bad guy would want to do. But Miles gets away with Scott. And I'd like to point out that so far in this series, just 2 episodes in, Matt Tracker is the least effective Mask agent that we've met.
Yet has the most number of powers in his mask.
To make up for his lack of competence.
He can scan shit. He can fire laser blasts. And now he can also hang glide with his mask.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shouldn't that be standard issue with all the masks?
Especially for Brad Turner, who is the other one that flies, would probably be helpful. But as we pointed out, Matt doesn't really care about the health and safety of his employees or son or his robot, as we will find out in a few moments. Anyways, cut back to Daniel and his mother. They are surrounded by fire, doomed to die.
Yeah, I was really curious because this fire spread really quickly. So it could have been dry underbrush. That's a real possibility in the mountains of Colorado. Sure. I can state that. But it also seemed like someone had dumped gasoline in a perfect circle around them because there's really no rhyme or reason for it to take that shape. And the other thing is they've got this RV. Couldn't they just drive that thing out as opposed to, I'll stop the fire?
Daniel goes in to get a little fire extinguisher to put it out. And it's like the dinkiest fire extinguisher you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So anyways, Dusty goes into boat mode. He fires water from the river, which for some reason doesn't put out the fire completely, which causes Matt to have to levitate using Spectrum to jump in there and save them from the fire. There's this great line where the mom is like, thank you, whoever you are, for saving my son. And Matt is just standing there like a statue, unmoving, unfeeling, as if he's wondering, what is all this physical contact between a child and their parent all about?
Yeah, it's very confusing for him. It's just like, I feel like I should feel something now.
But I don't. Why would a parent feel anything for their child?
What struck me as really bizarre is that Matt flies into the fire and then waits till Dusty puts it out to walk out with them. Yeah. So it's like, you could have waited for the fire to be put out. Or like the 2 people that are there are Alex and Bruce. Alex's mask is Jackrabbit, which lets him levitate. And Bruce's mask is Lifter, which lifts shit. Yeah. Either way, they could have gotten in there fairly easily. And instead it was like, nope, let Matt use his Spectrum hang glider again.
Matt probably has a kill switch where he can stop his teammates from using their powers because he wants to be the big man in the room. I'll use Lifter. It's not working. Sorry, Bruce. I'm the hero. Well, Matt finds out that Venom has kidnapped Scott because Scott was wearing the arrowhead.
I want to note that Scott's in trouble, and I know this is a trope, but it actually isn't his fault. I guess like the most fault you can say is that, and this is like a super curveball, is like he gave a fish to someone, and that's how he got in trouble. But I think this is probably more due to Matt's negligence of just pawning off his kid always.
Doesn't even know, the parent doesn't even know what's going on. What? You want to go with who? Somewhere? Great, have fun. You need any money? Figure out a way home when you're done. Ask directions if you have to. And the scene ends with a T-Bob floating down the river with a frog on his head. And my friend, it is the loudest frog I have ever heard. It's like, ribbit,
So ridiculous.
ribbit.
It is complete craziness. Now, notably, that is not a feature of Colorado.
Not a lot of toads or frogs.
Not a lot of frogs. But what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Come on, T-Bob. Mask will be right back. Oh, boy. Back to Mask.
So we're with Venom, and Scott is doing the classic 80s, let me go, get your hands off me. Sly tells him to shut up, which is one of my favorite lines. Shut up. One of my favorite lines of the whole episode. Scott must have heard that a million times from his father, so he knows to shut up.
Miles, he must not even care about recognizing that this is the same kid from last episode. It's like, whatever. I don't care. Like, wearing even the same clothing. Miles, I think, has this blind spot to kids. And I think this actually adds fuel to the theory that Miles is actually Matt's dad.
Big theory. Go on.
Mainly because why does Matt never really finish him off?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's almost an approval problem here. And this sort of neglect thing is something that Matt is repeating.
Generational trauma being passed down from one broken man to the next, and now Scott is the next in line to receive this trauma and is passing it on, actually, to his robot, which we will see in a few moments. But now Miles has both pieces of the arrowhead. It's been missing for thousands of years. It's been in my pocket. Okay.
It was a big plot point, too. Yeah. And it was just like, oh, whatever. Let's just get beyond that.
And he's got this old Indian tapestry. The arrowhead will point the way to a star chariot, an alien spacecraft that was buried 1,000 years ago. So the Indian tapestry said all that about ancient aliens? Is it true that ancient aliens visited Earth? And if so, did they bury their spacecraft 1,000 years ago?
And if so, could this arrowhead actually be used to open and reactivate it? There's a few leaps here, folks. And it's like, all right, I guess he is able to read Native American markings and interpret exactly what that is.
Especially the one that looks like a UFO.
It's not like it could be a rock.
And so Miles is very excited. They'll have this vehicle with alien technology, how cool it's going to be. And Cliff Dagger says, but we have all the vehicles we need. To which Miles responds, but this vehicle has something you lack, intelligence. Sick burn, Miles. Sick burn.
It's so sad because speaking as a former manager, that's a really terrible management move. Shitting on your people. It's not like there's a whole bunch of people so far that are lining up to become Venom agents. And so I got to imagine Dagger's been like, Dagger will punch you out. Dagger's stupid. He's probably going someplace and crying by himself just because of how much shit he takes.
Why do you think he wears a mask?
To hide the tears.
But instead of creating these new vehicles out of the technology, like, they can do a lot more with it.
Yeah, if this is truly alien technology, you could just sell it. Again, like last episode, we had a UFO that they created that can pick up shit. That's a delivery service right there. That's just with that created on Earth. Like, why not take this alien thing and make the next Velcro? I don't care. There's there's billion-dollar ideas in there, and Venom's always thinking too small.
Anyways, Mask finds Venom in the desert. And Matt asks Bruce and Alex to slow them down in Rhino so he can get off to Mesa Verde National Park to stop Venom. Notably to stop Venom, not to save his son. And Bruce assures Matt, no problem. He says, a wounded rabbit makes the fool fox hungry. And Alex, riding next to him, is like, a wounded rabbit? Rubbish. By Jove, I'm the strategic expert around here, and I say we set up an ambush. And Matt's response is, that's what Bruce just said, Alex. Speak English, Bruce.
Once again, even though I think we already have our winner, it's important to call out we've got another nomination for the Buddy Hawks Racism Award.
The only one who hasn't been actively racist has been Gloria so far in this episode. She hasn't said anything specifically racist. She just laughs along like Bruce does.
We don't know if Bruce does. We know that Bruce had like a very uncomfortable smile on his face. Gloria was laughing there alongside everybody else. But you're right. She has not actively said a racist implication.
So, Gloria, you're doing all right in our book. Venom, turns out they went to, as I said, Mesa Verde National Park. Have you ever been there, PJ?
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, it's in the southwestern corner of Colorado. I highly recommend you go see it. Got a bunch of Pueblo cliff dwellings there. And if you look closely enough, an ancient UFO. So check that out, everyone, next time you're in southwestern Colorado. But Venom on their way, they run into Rhino and a wounded Alex on the ground, and they get up to capture him. Ambush.
Yep. They come out of nowhere.
Surprise. Gloria, I have to point this out. So Gloria is in Shark, and she fires Shark's lasers at Miles with such pinpoint accuracy that she's able to destroy his belt, and Miles Mayhem's pants fall down, and he goes stumbling around like he's in some sort of Benny Hill episode.
It really is that moment, yeah.
Gloria could have murdered Miles.
She really could have. If you notice what the lasers are doing at first, they're actually sweeping back and forth. It's possible she could have taken his legs off really easily at that moment in time, but she didn't.
And Scott's a prisoner, so Mask has no choice but to call off the attack and let Venom get away.
Now, this is an interesting animation moment, and for two reasons. Because, like, they say, Dusty, Gloria, pull back. And they use their first names. But secondly, they actually pull forward at that time. So
well, they reuse the animation of them, like, pulling back, pulling forward.
Right, but they, like, reverse the frames. So if you look at it, they actually, like, pull forward again. Where it's, you know what? Fuck Scott. We're going to just pull forward anyway.
We have explicit instructions from Matt himself not to preserve Scott's life for any reason. We must pull forward. Bruce has a great line after they get away. He says, "The fox has eaten the rabbit." And I'm not sure if you noticed, but Alex looks at Bruce with the most withering stare that a 1980s cartoon is capable of. It's just devastating. It's like, you son of a bitch. Why, of all the Mask agents, I got to get stuck in this truck with you every mission?
With your crazy sayings that sound vaguely intelligent.
Well, guess what? Venom finds the Star Chariot. It is indeed a giant UFO. But Mask shows up to stop them. Scott shouts dad. It's kind of weird that Venom wouldn't exploit this new piece of knowledge a little bit more, such as, okay, Tracker, don't move or we'll kill him. Nope. Not what Venom does.
At a minimum, Miles would be like, I don't know who this kid is, because clearly I don't know who this kid is. Repeatedly. Like, because one more thing you do is just ransom him or attempt to. If you knew this was Matt Tracker's son. But you're right. At the very least, he knows, oh, well, this is a Mask agent's son. I could use this as leverage. But Miles just so checked out. He does not pay attention to kids at all.
Did you notice the affection moment between Matt and Scott?
It was insane. Matt hugged Scott. He hugged him. It was incredible.
Well, how much of it was Scott hugging Matt and Matt just not knowing what to do with his arms, so uncomfortably wrapping them around the body of this child?
It's a really good question. I better look good in front of the other Mask agents.
I mean, also, it's like you've clearly then connected Scott to you, the leader of Mask. Like, bad form for Scott to run right to his dad and give up the whole game. And two, for Matt not to push him away, be like, oh, no, you're not my son. I don't know you.
Well, Miles had run away at that point in time to go after the Star Chariot, but it is remarkable still that Matt didn't just push him aside and say, I have to go after Venom. So, like, you know what? Congratulations, Matt. You showed affection.
The more you know. Da-na-na-na.
We've got one instance of it so far.
All right, let's keep track. One fatherly moment so far in 2 episodes. Anyway, awesome mask battle, actually. They're running around on foot. Everyone's using their mask powers to knock each other down, to blow things up, to stop people. Interestingly enough, for the second time now, Vanessa and Gloria fight each other. It's always the women fighting each other. So is this equality? Is it misogyny? You be the judge. Why can women only fight women in mask?
I think in that instance, they're actually the only people using their masks. I'm wondering if the Venom and Mask agents are actually just looking on, seeing these 2 women fight. It's a little creepy. Oh yeah, get her, Gloria.
Like
Go, Vanessa.
Alex nudges Sly Rax. Okay, hey, Hold on a second. Get a load of this.
And they're just there staring until like the booby traps get...
Good segue, because booby traps do get activated. The first one is a door comes crashing down. Scott rushes in to save T-Bob from getting crushed by the door. He saves him, and T-Bob says, "Thanks, Scott, you saved my life." And Scott's response, "I hate to tell you this, T-Bob, but you're not alive."
This is a real like Blade Runner moment right here, because T-Bob has more emotions than Matt does on a regular basis. So
Indeed.
like I gotta wonder what T-Bob is feeling at this point in time.
I mean, Scott, you are Matt Tracker's son. Clearly.
Continuing on that emotional trauma.
You're not alive, T-Bob. Your feelings don't matter to me.
Sadness.
So, more booby traps. These metal
Yep.
cylinders come rolling down because I guess Indiana Jones has the copyright on giant boulders. So Miles uses Sniper, another new power of his, to carve out a little cave for Venom to hide in. Gloria uses Aura, which I guess also creates a giant shield around them
Yep.
to avoid the cylinders. But that actually just sends the cylinders rolling right towards Scott and T-Bob, who get crushed by the cylinder. R.I.P. Scott and T-Bob. Matt's negligence was bound to end in disaster, and it has. Matt screams, "Scott, no!" Alex, after that, says, "Matt, it's too late." And they just run on after Venom.
It's true. It's like, I mean, look, this is a second emotive moment for Matt. It's pretty overwhelming. He just hugged his child, and then he lost his child. I'm not sure if he's going to mentally connect those things together.
Matt, your kid's dead. Oh, right, yes. Scott, no. Curse you, Venom.
Yeah.
Let's go get him.
But what's going to happen? I don't know. What's going to happen?
We'll find out.
Hold on, there's a battle we have to tend to. Be right back. We got him. Now back to the show.
And we're back. So, with Scott now dead...
Which is pretty amazing for an 80s cartoon to have that,
Yeah.
even for a few minutes.
Venom gets into the UFO. Miles gets in, and he presses all these buttons like a 5-year-old child does with a Fisher-Price toy. He's like, beep, boop, beep, boop. But somehow, it activates the UFO and allows him to fire a massive laser beam, which almost kills Mask. Then we have Rhino rolling in through the hole in the wall carved by the laser, and Bruce reveals one of Rhino's most epic weapons, which is called Ultra Brights. So the headlights fire a light that is so bright, it's like a nuclear bomb going off.
I looked at that animation, and the other time you see animation where it's monochromatic with those lines
Yeah.
is when the SDF-1 in Robotech fires its giant laser and wipes out an armada of ships. It's like those people are disintegrated.
Remembering what the Mask vehicles are allegedly powered by, that is a radiation blast 10 times stronger than Nagasaki. I mean, it was a moment away from them disintegrating, but they just scream, "I can't see. I can't see."
Which is weird because they're wearing masks that presumably would have visors to them or would be like Apple Vision Pros. So it's a little bit bizarre that they don't have like automatic blinders, but whatever.
Yeah, or just UV blockers. Anyways, Venom is forced to evacuate the UFO because it's quote-unquote too bright. They run away from the brightness, PJ. They try to escape, but Matt uses Spectrum to cut off their escape route. Matt's finally got him. Finally got him where he wants him. But then Miles uses a remote control from like 1950, apparently, to fly in Switchblade on helicopter mode to rescue them. And during this whole time, Mask does nothing to stop them.
It's so weird. Miles is not a fast man at all, but he had plenty of time to get into Switchblade, which probably requires a ladder and put his seatbelt on.
Yeah.
And then for everyone else to like hang on. And then he has to take off relatively slowly. It's very clear like Mask is just standing there doing nothing.
Well, my guess is that Mask does want to do something, but Matt is like, no. If we defeat Venom, we will have no reason to exist.
My paramilitary charter will be canceled.
Matt says bitterly, Venom will pay for what they did to Scott. So all this time, Matt's actually been focused on the mission, and he has not fallen apart because of his dead son?
Apparently not.
Oh, Matt. But do not worry, dear listener. Scott and T-Bob reappear in a beam of light from the UFO. Everyone is shocked. Scott says he had a weird dream that he and T-Bob got crushed by a giant rolling pin. And then aliens took them to another planet where they fixed them up. And T-Bob says he had the same dream, to which Scott says, "That's impossible. Robots don't dream." Wow, Scott. Once again, you are truly a tracker.
Oh, what's amazing, it's clearly like, wait, maybe androids do dream of electric sheep. Maybe we don't know. Thanks, Scott.
And again, clearly, they have feelings. But you're not alive, T-Bob.
Shut up.
You're a dumb bucket of bolts. And then Bruce wisely said, "I have a feeling the Star Chariot is more than it appears to be, ... Go on, Bruce.
Yeah.
What
do you think it is? What do you want to say? And then, but that question is never answered, is it?
No, because the ship then performs a starfold maneuver and disappears from the cave, stolen directly from Robotech or any number of those great sci-fi shows from the 80s.
So I feel like we should do some cause and effect here.
Uh-huh.
Those aliens never met the Venom agents outside of them pushing the buttons randomly. Maybe they could see them surveilling remotely.
Uh-huh.
But the UFO does encounter Scott and T-Bob, apparently.
Yes.
So the aliens actually do encounter humanity. And I'm curious if that's the reason they're like, nope, fuck that place. We're out.
This is humanity? This is what's become of this race from 1,000 years ago? Nah.
What happened to the indigenous people that we left our arrowhead to? They seemed like they were one with the land. They were on the right track. Who are all these guys? Out.
I guess we'll never know what message that ship held for our world, to which Bruce says, and by the way, if I could pause and just point out, Bruce has got a lot to say this episode.
He really does.
Episode 1, he has one line, maybe 2. This one, he's just throwing deep cones everywhere he goes.
Every single time.
He says, when the eggs are disturbed, the birds make a new nest. And Matt has to explain for all the dummies. What Bruce means is the Star Chariot isn't gone. It's found a safer home. Yeah, away from all the hate and anger and suffering of humanity's inhumanity against themselves. Away from radioactive, mask-wielding vigilantes. The scene ends with Matt saying, when all of the Miles mayhems of the world are finally gone, I think it may reveal its secrets. Meaning the Star Chariot might reveal its secrets. Very deep, Matt. Very deep. Indeed.
Once again, the evidence proves that when all the Scotts and T-Bobs are finally gone, it will reveal its secrets, because the aliens never met Miles.
Matt has no idea what he's talking about, but he heard Bruce a lot this episode. He's like,
I'm going to up my game.
And then we pan up to the sky, to the stars, and we fade out. Beautiful end to the episode.
My mask.
Now, we ended the episode, like all episodes, of course, with the more you know moment, which is basically, don't pet dogs you don't know because they could bite you, which is delivered by Alex Sector, who comes out of nowhere to stop Scott from doing just that. So Matt clearly has Alex tailing Scott to make sure he's safe.
I mean, maybe this was why he invented T-Bob, was that he was tired of having to tail Scott all the time. He was basically Matt's lapdog. And then it was like, let me just use a robot. And T-Bob failed in this case. So Alex is like, whoa, hold on. Pets, this is my forte.
Alex says in the scene, you're as much a stranger to that dog as he is to you. And then Scott's thinking, as my father is to me.
That's why you don't pet Matt, because he might bite you. This was apparently one of the massive problems in the 80s, kids petting dogs, I guess.
A massive, wild problem of these dogs just biting off kids' hands. Yeah, they had fundraisers for it and telethons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, man.
This is completely divorced from the lessons of the episode or anything of the episode. It's just like, Alex was there.
Yeah.
Don't touch dogs. We're done.
Don't touch no dogs, and we're out. Final thoughts about this great episode, PJ?
Oh my God, episode 2. And we had, 5 nominees? I think we caught it early on. It's the one scene where they're all laughing repeatedly at Native American jokes that were just like, oh my God, please, guys, come on. But certainly packed with it. 22 minutes, and they managed to pack in so many tropes and stereotypes at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's only episode 2, man.
It's episode
2.
Yeah, episode 2. Well, we've got 73 more to go. Episode 3, our next one, The Book of Power. Venom steals an ancient book which holds the secrets of a mythological city of riches below the surface of Colorado.
Fortunately, folks, I'm pretty sure there won't be any racism or cultural appropriation in that next one.
Absolutely not. Well, time for this podcast to transform and head back to headquarters. I am Adam Moore.
I am PJ McNerney.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Mobile Armored Podcast Show is written, produced, and edited by Adam Moore and PJ McNerney.